Hello! Welcome back to my new video. I'm sorry I was delayed again. Well, this time we're going to talk about, we're going to discuss several types of architecture that are sometimes confused and used indistinctively as the same term, as you can see here. So we're going to try to unravel the terms and see how they are similar to each other and what is the difference between all of them. Now, this type of architecture that we're going to discuss now, this sustainable, biochromatic, intelligent, biomimetic, ecological, healthy, and green architecture are sometimes architectures that are defined as the same kind of thing when it refers to architecture that cares for the environment. But are they the same? Do they mean the same thing? Well, they're actually not, and there are very little differences that make them very useful in certain different types. So let's start with biochromatic architecture. What is biochromatic architecture? Well, obviously, because of the term itself, it defines as the type of architecture that is designed according to the climate of the place. So that means that this takes into account wind, sun, and the site requirements, as actually every type of architecture should. But this bioclimatic takes passive techniques to improve the design into a very comfortable environment for the user in whatever type of building it would be. So it makes use of what is called passive solar cooling or passive solar heating, depending on the weather, and introduces all those external elements into the house to make it less energy consuming. The design itself is very efficient. It doesn't need any external energies. So bioclimatic architecture is, if we could put it in a way, the best way to design any building without having to invest a lot in external technologies to make it efficient and environmentally friendly. Now, continuing with the bio prefix, there's another one that's called biomimetic architecture. So this, or biomimic, this as a terminology is used in medicine as well, very much like to try, medicine and technology in general, to try to copy the best qualities that nature offers in animals or in plants, to adapt them and use them as techniques or apparatus that we might use. So in architecture, it kind of does the same. Bio comes from the Greek word life, and mimesis from, it means imitate. So we are imitating life, the good qualities of life. Architecture does that. Every living thing was created perfectly, and it works the way it should for what its purpose. So we as architects, using biomimetic, we copy certain qualities of certain things to adapt them to a building to better respond to the external environment. So, for example, the Norman Foster's wrongly named the egg in London, the Gherkin, which is actually its name. It copies the structure, not just the aesthetics of the sea sponge, but it copies also the structure itself. The sea sponge, the shape it has allows it for the sea currents to flow through it and do not damage the there are no columns inside that affect the way the floor is designed and furniture is put. So the structure itself is what is copied. And as this example, there are many others in nature and in architecture that have taken the inspiration or the concept, if you might say it, from nature. So that's biomimetics or biomimetics architecture. Well, these two types of architecture that we just saw, bioclimatic and biomimetic, they focus on the function of the building itself according to nature. We're going to see now two other ones, which are sustainable, yes, and ecological, which take into account the technologies that can be put into a building to make them even more nature friendly. So sustainable, we discussed previously what sustainability meant. So sustainable architecture means that it will try to least or reduce the impact we have as architects and the building itself on the environment, making it sustainable. So it will self-give or self-produce the energy it needs. So this kind of architecture is the one that includes the renewable energy technologies like wind turbines or solar water heaters or solar panels. It also includes technology itself as double glazed, for example, or insulation. It does because it reduces the energy consumption and as well reduces the energy it will use itself. So that's sustainable architecture, introducing technologies into the design, along with obviously the design itself. But mainly, the difference that I want to make here is the technology type. Now, the ecological architecture, sometimes misinterpreted as a type of architecture, that includes all of them. It's ecological, so it should be like really nice and into environment and really like rusty and stuff. It's not like that. Eco-architecture gives back to the environment what it impacted on the building. So, like the image here, it produces areas, very large green areas, where it can give back that space that the building took to birds, small animals, insects, so that the ecosystem can be rebuilt. It also introduces like natural lighting and more green space for users, so that users can interact back with nature, especially in these big cities where there are not enough green spaces or parks, where you can go out and actually interact with nature. You have to go camping all the way to woods and stuff. This type of architecture kind of integrates, pushes you back into what nature means. This type of architecture also, because it tries to give back to the environment, is the more conscious about the 3 R's: reuse, reduce, and recycle. So you will be seeing that this architecture uses recycled wood, probably, or recycled, rescued bricks from maybe a demolition somewhere else. That's kind of the materials used in this type of architecture. And now, keeping up with technology, we come to what's now called, or were called back in the 80s, where they were like, intelligent buildings or smart buildings, right? So we have smart homes, but that doesn't mean they're thinking. They are reproducing programming that was put into them. Technology, as in sustainable architecture, has helped reduce the impact construction has on the environment when used correctly. But it has also been incorporated not only to the design of the building, but also to the way it functions. Smart buildings had a big success back in the early 80s. This concept involved especially an extensive use of elaborate centralized electronic systems to make possible the control of building support and communication systems for voice and data, to effectively manage resources in a coordinated mode to maximize occupant performance, investment and operating cost savings, and flexibility. But rather than smart buildings, it would be more appropriate to call it electronically enhanced building, since the building itself does not have characteristics and qualities that would allow it to interact. A very good example of an electronically enhanced building would be the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium in Canada. And I'll show you a video about it because it shows exactly how technology can help the building interact with the environment, although it would still be controlled by humans. But this interaction can help reduce energy costs, as for example in the case of the stadium, heating or lighting requirements. Let us see. Let us watch. So we have now healthy architecture. Healthy architecture takes into account the user. We've talked about architecture that takes care of the environment, replacing whatever we took with eco-architecture, producing our own energy, not to impact a lot on the energy producing of the ecosystem. We design according to it, so that the building is not requiring a lot of energy. But what happens to the user? Now, healthy architecture is the type of architecture that will allow us as users to be healthy inside. You've heard of stress produced by work, or you sometimes need to end up using glasses because of the bad lighting you have in the office, or you feel like your chest is too heavy. Might be because the airflow in the building is not proper. So healthy architecture designs for the people, for the users, and it takes into account proper airflow according to the number of users that are going to be. It's not the same thing designing the airflow for a house that for an office, and the size of the office. So location of windows will not only be according to proper lighting and reducing or enhancing heating depending on the weather, but also to have cross ventilation probably to make the building healthy for the users. Have proper lighting if there is no natural lighting possible because of location, whatever, sometimes it happens. Cannot do anything about it. That's the site that we are given. And we have buildings all over us. Well, then we can have proper artificial lighting, but depending on the type of work you're going to be doing. So that's also taken into account in healthy architecture, including green spaces, or if not possible green spaces as in eco-architecture, maybe some pots with plants, but the right type of plants. The type of plants that maybe have color to cheer you up, oranges and yellows in their leaves or flowers, or a type of plant that purifies the oxygen easier, faster than any other plant. That kind of design is the design that improves our health and makes the building user-friendly, not only environmentally friendly, but user-friendly. Now we've talked about the most common types of architecture that are discussed as environmentally friendly. If we were to add all of them up, as shown here. We could have that the result, according to definitions, would be green architecture. Green architecture would be the definition, or the sum of all the parts. Green architecture. Because it would take the design for the environment as a bioclimatic, taking into account wherever it's good from the living entities to copy and adapt with biomimetic, introducing energy efficient technologies and sustainability, giving back or designing into nature so that users can complement that healthy architecture, and also with the bioclimatic, not only the design for the weather but also for the user, and making use, of course, of electronically enhanced buildings to reduce those energy consumptions. So all of them would make the green architecture, which would be the architecture that we should all be designing to reduce the impact on the environment. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been interesting to all of you. If you have any comments and suggestions, so if you're happy with the video, if you liked it, if you would like more about this kind of information, I will be uploading videos. I might not be every week because it's really hard for me, but I will be posting videos. So please subscribe. Please tell your friends about it if you liked it. And well, we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.